Welcome to another episode of Don't Panic Geocacher, channel devoted to helping you solve more mystery caches by yourself. My name is Arjen and I go by the GeoNick Waterfan5 on the geocaching.com website. This episode is series 9 of a series of 10 and is called Be Organized. And Be Organized is all about how you can help yourself and help solve mystery caches by taking an organized approach when solving mystery caches. So we're getting towards the end of the series with this episode 9. Don't worry, there's many more videos coming about different topics related to mystery caches. And in this one, I will talk about a little bit how the previous lessons, how the previous videos can help you and how you can combine them into a structural approach. So these were some of the videos that we talked about, right? So we talked about lesson 9, we talked about the puzzle difficulty, talked about looking at different answer types. We looked at the 2 mile radius. We looked about like researching and text and hints in the text. We looked at the usual suspects like Braille, Morse code, things like that. About Google, how Google can help us solving puzzles, but looking at map locations, searching for things. We looked about tools that can help us, and we talked about how we shouldn't give up, especially with more difficult ones. So this won't be organized. There's one more, a little bit of a mystery for now, that will of course be revealed in the next video. But as I mentioned, this is a little bit of just a summary of how they all work together. So really, when you look at a mystery cache, this is kind of like what you should start with doing, right? First, try to do an introduction to the cache, which is look at the difficulty level, look at the attributes, and look who's the cache owner. Why these 3 things first? Why don't we start reading the page? Why should we look at these 3 things? Well, if it's a level 4, you have to absorb the information in a very different way. The answer may not be clearly visible, may have to do other things first. So it kind of puts you in a mindset, and therefore it's good to know the difficulty level before starting to solve or starting to read. The attributes can help us to validate, are we really looking at a puzzle? Is it maybe a field puzzle or a challenge or something else going on? Right? It could very well be that we can't solve it from home and we have to go somewhere. Let's figure that out first before we spend time trying to solve something. And I also like to look at the cache owner, because different cache owners may have different techniques. Some have underrated or overrated, and if I know who published it, if I know who was the cache owner, that may again help me interpret the information that I'm seeing. Some cache owners like to do everything with pictures, others more with text. In other cases, the text might more hints. Some like to use underwater. And so being experienced with cache owners will again help me and focus what I'm doing. And then I'm trying to figure out what is the answer that I'm looking for. Is it the coordinate? Is it the partial coordinate? I only look for 6 numbers, 10 numbers, something else. Or is it approximate coordinate? Is it maybe some math or conversions involved? Because again, that will give me a hint of what I need to do. Or is it a keyword? I'm not looking for a coordinate at all. I'm looking for a piece of text or maybe a series of numbers, but it's not a coordinate. All of that will help me solve the cache page better by knowing this information. And that's why this is called starts with, right? Even before we start doing, we should know all this information. And if it is a coordinate, I often like to then to see where can it be hidden. So I look up the coordinates on the map and try to figure out what is the maximum degrees number, what is the lowest north, south, west, east, where can it be hidden, right? Because if I already know that, if I have to try certain things, I kind of need to know what are my boundaries. And also, is there areas that can already be included or excluded? For example, is there parking nearby? Well, that excludes a lot of areas that don't have parking nearby. So shops nearby, well, it's a residential area, no shops nearby, right? Can I already deduce some partial coordinates based on just the 2 mile radius? Of course, all of these I talk about in specific video, right? I have a specific video about all of these. So just a little summary here. That's the first thing you do when looking at a mystery. And then you start the solving process, right? You start reading the text, you start reading the hint, you start reading maybe the comments of the cache owner. and you start looking for extra information, right? Is there hidden HTML code text? Is there any keywords that might be a hint? Is there any of those first and last letters? All those tips that I gave you in this video. And then the first thing I do is just look at usual suspects. Is this something that could be any of the common puzzle types that we see? Is it a substitution of characters? Is it a base conversion? Is it a Caesar rotation cipher? Morse code, Braille, binary? Is it some kind of keyboard involved, phone codes? Or could it be a book cipher? And is there anything that I need to count, right? These are the usual suspects, and I talk about those because more often than not, they're somewhere involved. Even in more difficult puzzles, this may be a step in the puzzle that you need to do. So it's always important to take those into account, unless this puzzle gives you very direct instructions about it. In that case, you kind of skip this part. But still, I often don't exclude it because I want to say, make sure, is there not Morse code hidden anywhere that I need to look at? Could there be Morse code hidden somewhere? It's always good to take a look. That doesn't solve it. Then we'll go to the next step. And that is, well, let's do our research, right? Because now we've tried to work on it and it doesn't really work, right? We haven't solved it yet. So special class talked about the Googling and research part. So we Google everything, right? The title, the keywords, the hint, the coordinates, every image we see, puzzle itself, anything that we see, right? Maybe it will help us. The cache owner name might help us. Anything that we see on this cache page can help us solve the puzzle. And you put everything in your search engine and you just try to see, scroll through. Maybe it's obscure, maybe it's not on the first page, your search results, so you do your research, right? Try to see any of this information is useful. Many, many, many puzzles are solved this way. And then you use all the tools. I think I've shown many, many tools here. I just list a few categories, right? The identifiers, they're so helpful. You put in the text, they will tell you, this is a base 64, this is a Caesar cipher, this is a Vigenère, this is a Boo cipher, this is a keyboard shift cipher. They will tell you so many different things, right? And if you know what it is, or you kind of think you know what it is, there's lots of cracking tools that even if you don't have all the information, maybe you don't have a keyword yet or a full keyword yet, that can help you solve this. There's multi-solvers out there. I talked about those, that you put in what you have and you see if it comes up. It's the are you feeling lucky type solver, right? They tell you a lot of obscure ones. And then lots of analysis tools to look for patterns, to look for frequency, how many times is certain letters, how many times are certain numbers being used, how many sentences. Is there again anything that is like 13, 10, something else, right? So that is, we dive in deeper into the puzzle, right? So, um, but still, that may not work, right? We tried all these things, and still we uh, haven't been able to solve it. So that's where Don't Give Up comes in. So where we talked about try it again another day, create a bookmark of it, and so that you can go back to it and say, this is puzzles I'm working on, but we're going to try tomorrow. Solve some more because we learned some more techniques and maybe we'll learn some more, right? This was all the video, don't give up. And then make sure that we didn't miss anything. The puzzle was hidden deeper than we thought. Maybe the answer was hidden deeper than we thought. So we do that obfuscation, try to make sure we were being thorough and we didn't give up on the process. And if that didn't work, we'll try again a week later, right? We repeat this process. We start at step one and we go kind of all over again. However, that leads to a problem. A week from now, do I remember what I've already tried? How do I know that I've tried this new technique that I learned about only a week ago? Well, that's where Be Organized comes in. Be organized just means keep notes for complicated puzzles. If it's a puzzle, sometimes you have the notes. If you have a premium member, you can put the notes in the geocaching itself, but it's only limited space, right? And it doesn't allow you pictures or more fancy makeup. So start a Google Doc or something similar for complicated puzzles. Put your notes in there. That way, if you're working on with a group, you can kind of share it as well. But then also keep track of what you haven't tried. For myself, I know a week later, I don't necessarily know if I've tried everything. So you have to kind of know, what have I tried? Maybe you had to guess certain coordinates because you felt this looked like it was correct. Keep track of what you have guessed because you don't want to guess it again, right? You're just wasting your own time. So you kind of have to make a list of everything that you've tried and things you still need to try. And this is kind of where a checklist becomes useful. Of kind of like, this is all the puzzle combinations that I think of. Because it allows you to kind of like recreate your own ideas. Because if you look at something that's like, have I tried this? And you think of A, B, and C, but you forgot maybe something new. So it is good to have a kind of like build a checklist for yourself. And that is what Be Organized helps you, is to, yeah, do these type of things, right? So not only keep a bookmark list, but also keep a document with your notes. Keep track of what you tried. Keep track of what you still need to try and what you have learned from other puzzles. So I'll share my checklist with you. So this is the location. I'll share that, of course, the notes as well. So it's just where I have different categories that kind of go over all the things we talked about in the video, and it has these one-liners in there with little check marks in front of it, right? So it doesn't actually allow you to check mark there itself, because of course for every puzzle you again, but you can save it, print it, copy it, whatever you want to do with it. And then for each puzzle, you can kind of go through. Have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? Because one of these steps may certainly give you the breakthrough that you want, right? Oh, I Googled the hint. Yes. Oh, I Googled the title. Yes. I Googled the location. Oh, I didn't Google the location. Let's Google the location. And maybe you find something that's important, right? So, so the same with the techniques, same with the tools, the same with all these categories. This is only a screenshot of it. So what I will do is I will just give a slightly longer demonstration what it is and what you can do with this. Maybe it will help you. Maybe it gives you an idea to maybe start your own. Yeah, let me just share with you what I've done so far. So let's take a look at what this checklist is, how I use it, right? So in my case, I put it all on a website. That way I can easily share it with somebody else as well. So this is the address. I'll put it in the show notes. And it all has different categories that we can see here. And those are basically different categories of different types of puzzles, different elements that I have to go. So what you see here is on the general page, like kind of what things to do, right? So investigate the GC number. Is there something usual about it? Can it somehow be used for the puzzle? Any puzzles out there that use the GC code? What does the difficulty say? Are we overthinking, underthinking the puzzle? Height itself, and these are all things that I've mentioned in previous classes, right? And kind of this summarizes that, but just in a checklist form. Of course, in the beginner classes, I talked about the underwater HTML. See if there's any white text in there. Is there a background image? And you see that I put checkpoints in front of it because this allows me to kind of like almost like print it, or I can save it as an offline document and fill in check, I've done this, check, I've done this, check, I've done this, right? And put my notes somewhere else. And this includes also things like it's the hint special. And then research. Well, I had, of course, a puzzle that was all about research, Googling things. Talked about, have I checklist, right? Have I Googled really everything? Did I forget something? The title, the keywords, the GC might help, right? Any sentence that looks weird, any hidden text or keywords in there, hidden messages, like I mentioned in one of the videos I talked about the keywords to look. Any references to popular media, books, movies, lyrics, songs, any abbreviations, there's a typo there. Any hidden text, if you look at the first letters, the capital letters, the last letters. So I mentioned that in one of the videos as well, how to analyze the text for that. And sometimes I'll mention things twice because in a different context it might mean slightly less, right? Slightly different. So the hidden text might be the puzzle, but also be a hint in hidden text. So I have the option to then mark that out and put notes there. So anything that we can highlight, how many numbers, anything that is counts to 10, 13, 15, 26. There's these numbers that you look for, right? Alphabet numbers, coordinate numbers, digits. We see 10 dots. Could they represent digits? Do we see 26 of something? Could they represent letters? Frequency analysis, right? So count all the things. That's really so many puzzles come down to simply counting. And then the coordinates, everything that we can do with coordinates, Google the coordinates, look at maps, Stratlight, Street View, all the different resources that you have with coordinates, right? Including like what three words and all kinds of resources that we can look at, waymarking, Intel maps. Is there anything that the coordinates draw? Is there anything in the opposite side of the world that could be relevant? Anything in the 2 mile radius, and does it limit the area, right? For example, does it say, oh, there's parking nearby or shopping nearby? Well, if a lot of it is residential area, that limits out a lot of it, right? Is it 3 terrain? Does it mention a park somewhere that they got permits? Because it all limits where the coordinates will be. And so on. So all of these are kind of like covered in a video, and in some of them I will go more detail in future videos. But every category has like this list of additional things to check and kind of like tell you something. So for example, I had a whole thing about tools. This kind of says, have I ran it through all these tools? Have I used all the identifiers? What did they tell me? Did they recognize it? Right? So, because you never know where you find a solution. And so this is kind of like my checklist if I get stuck to kind of like go through it again and see this is what I see. What should I verify to help me further along the puzzle? So if there's colors involved, music involved, sound involved, math involved, have I done all the things to need? So um, if I see a number, is it pi? Is it e? Is it something that I have to do with the offset of those? Those are often things that are right. So this is kind of like how this checklist works. And so yeah, you can borrow this one, you can go back to this one, you can make your own with your techniques. I know different countries have slightly different variations. Different coordinate systems that might be relevant for a particular country or particular techniques that are more relevant in a particular country. So you can make your own, but yeah, you can maybe use this as a starting point as well. And then just use that as a puzzle, right? So go through it and kind of like check everything off. Have I checked for this? Have I checked for this? Many times, like, oh yeah, I didn't really look at the map. Maybe there was something that was relevant. Or did I really check that Roman numerals was not an option? Or that text wasn't like some kind of anagram somewhere hidden. So it just helps me to with new ideas to attack an existing puzzle. So that's the checklist. So next we're going to utilize. We've just learned. Going to solve one of my own puzzles from the GeoHeist series. Solved many of the other ones in other videos. And so this one we're going to utilize some of these lessons and by staying organized and by following steps, getting through a solution to this puzzle. Okay, so this is the puzzle that we focus on. GeoHeist passcode. It's one of the puzzles in my GeoHeist series. So this is the title. So passcode is already the first hint. That is may help us later. I'm the one who created it, and it's not a puzzle, right? So it is not a challenge or a puzzle. There might be some other things. Now let's look at the answer. Well, before we start reading anything, let's look at solution, and it says here key required. So we're using the geochecker, and we're checking on the geochecker what we need. So in this case, there's no reason to look at the 2 mile radius since we're looking for a keyword. So that's when we start looking at what the puzzle actually is. So call it the posted coordinates. This cache is a series of puzzles. Just mentioned that right in the introduction. And this can be solved individually. That is good. Now, for those of you that see the other videos, familiar with this text, this basically links to the other ones in the series. And the puzzle starts here. So there's 3 pictures here. We have a piece of text. We have something with cameras, and it talks about entering this side. So kind of like a matrix, and then we have a matrix with all numbers. and your 13-digit index sheet. So, and we need to enter the keyword, right? Which assumption here is that your 13 digits is going to be passcode. Also says here 13 numbers. What's next? Okay. Talks here, we confirmed these are the camera locations. So I guess these are camera locations. We can probably trace the path that they took. So we find the path. Let's look at the text, what it says. Here's a map of the vault. It's full of different types of alarm systems. You can disable one type of alarm system. You will enter from one of the doors to the west, and the vault is on the door east. So take a look at the map again. We see here, we enter from this side, get out on this side, west, go to the east. See the little north that can help us here. Okay. And we don't know which of the 3 doors they took. Okay. So 3 doors right here, 3 doors right there. Okay. They come in here, they go out here. Okay. We have to find the path, how to get from here to there. Right now it seems pretty open, but it's telling us some more things, right? I divided the space in blocks of 5 feet, as each camera has a 5 feet range. Short. Red ones can only see north to south. That's how they're placed. So up, down. Blue ones can see east, west, left, right. Green ones are floor sensors. Don't step on those or go directly underneath any of the camera. Can't walk through cameras. Make sense? Okay. These are camera correlations. We probably can trace the path that they took. That's our assignment. So let's color out what the cameras can see, right? So we'll start with blue. Just take a brush. But this camera can see, oh, see east, west. Mark out spots that blue can see. Go. Red. Okay. This is just a part of being organized, right? It's just to go through all the steps and don't try to take shortcuts. Just follow the instructions. What a cache page tells you should do. Maybe it will come to tuition later, right? So this is all the red ones. Green ones is easy. That's just the place itself, as it says. 4 sensors. Yellow ones can see full circle. Circle. So basically they go way around. So we or try it again. There we go. Here. And 4. I think did all of them. Discover that soon enough. So yeah, now it's much harder to find the path, right? Everything is blocked. It's almost like a line full. See, all the way with cameras, all the way blocked. So no way to get from here. But fortunately, it told us one of the cameras can be disabled, but we don't know which one. So that's what we have to try. Okay, so let's see. Well, here it already looks pretty bad because this has 2 cameras. This has 2 cameras watching it. This has 2 cameras watching it. This has 2 cameras watching it. And so, yeah, this part is pretty much blocked, right? The top goes from here on. So that's not good. So let's, if we go here, we have to go down, right? And then this one is the camera itself. Earliest one here would be this one. And that's actually directly reachable from this one. So pretty much this door is the same as this door. Okay, so let's try from here. Let's go through red, right? We'll go through red, but now we're immediately blocked because, yeah, we can encounter yellow and blue kinds of things. Nothing that's red. Can't go here. Here's yellow. So this one is actually a double camera. It's the red and yellow. It's a double camera. Can't do that. So that doesn't look very good. So we can go south, but then we have to disable yellow. Okay. So we have two options. We can go all the way south. Pretty good. Now we're blocked in, right? Nothing that's yellow here that we can go through. We have to go through blue. So that doesn't work. So, but if we go this way, that looks pretty promising. We can get out here. Yeah, we can't get through this door because it's blocked by a red one. So can we get, no, here, blue, green, red, we're completely blocked. So disabling this yellow doesn't help us either. So this one is now out, right? We couldn't disable the red, couldn't disable yellow. So let's try the last door. So get out here. That looks pretty good. Disable the blue one. Okay. Go here. Now we have to choose going, can't go through the yellow here. So even going down here, get us stuck, right? We can't walk through this camera. Can go up here. That looks good. And now we have to decide, because there's actually two routes. We can go this way. And we're out. Okay, that's good. But there is another one as well that goes this way. Let's count, right? We need it. It's set on the puzzle, 13, right? 13 digits index. So we have this nice sheet. I'll pop that up in a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fine. That's 13. Doesn't look too promising. Okay. Not going to give up yet. Let's see what numbers we actually get. So get the number sheet, and we're just going to follow the flow. Say okay. Start here, bottom, and this is 4 up. Yep. A bit harder to see because now we don't have the cameras, right? Go here and go up all the way. And now we have to make the two decisions. Right here, we're now right there. We can either go around it, or we can go straight through this, right? So that's the two options. See, did I draw that right? Yeah, go all the way down, 4, 5 to the right, 5 up. No, this doesn't look right. No, didn't draw that correct. Let's try it again. So, said we either can go here, or and out, or we have to go around it. That looks better. So 3 that we can't go through, then yes, yes. So now it looks the same, right? We have the two paths that look the same. So 30 numbers, what to do? Let's write down the numbers that the path took. They made us go through the path. Let's write it down. So I'm gonna write down numbers. Just gonna write them down in sections so I don't miss anything. This section 9, 6, 5, 3, 5, 8, 9, 7, 9, 3. Then let's do the 2 as well. Then either we go up, which would be 1, and then 6, 4, 3, 8, or same path, but instead of going to 1, go outside, right? So 2 is still the same, 3, 8, 4, 6, 2, and then the 6 is the same. So let's see. So this is the 5 numbers, then 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, I did only till 5, 3, 5, okay. Then 8, 7, 9, yep, 3, 2, looks good. 3, 8, 6, 2, 6, 4, 8, 4, 1, 6, 4. Yeah, so it looks pretty good. So, but as I already mentioned, positions will tell us that right here. This one says position 24, so we have way too many numbers, right? Nowhere close. 28. So yeah, so we know we're good. 28. It's too long. But if we went back, let's go back to the text that we had. So see the puzzle told us that you take the path. That's correct. 13 numbers. What is next? Maybe it's not the 13 numbers, but somehow the next 13 numbers, right? What is next? So let's try and figure it out. Now, problem is we don't know what's next, right? We have these two numbers. So unless you see a pattern in here, the easiest way is like pull everything. One of the steps. This number doesn't do much. Let's try the other one. See what that number comes up with. Just here at the top. Google that one. That looks a lot better. That gets a lot of hits. So, and if you have already recognized this, these are the first digits of pi. So that looks pretty good. So it will talk here about pi, right? So now we know, oh, that's what these are. So that's the first digits of pi. Get this long list. And of course, we could have tried the geochecker and tried the first 13 digits of pi. Tell us we're wrong. And what we really need to do is what is next, based on the hint that is next, and look at the next 13 digits of pi, which would bring us close to this, right? 5, 5 more, 3. So these are the 13 digits we're looking for. That's going to be our passcode. So that will now have solved the puzzle. So this is how it works. Hope you enjoyed this part. Let's get back to the show. Yes, that was certainly a more difficult puzzle, right? So hope you enjoyed it still. Hope you were able to follow it. If you have feedback, if you want me to go slower, faster, explain more, maybe you had a question about how I solved it, right? Feel free to contact me. Send me a note, message me, um, contact me on WaterFan5 on the geocaching.com website. You can also email me, geocaching.com. Some of you have already done that, geocaching.waterfan5, and ask for specific topics. Very much appreciate that. Still have about 10, 15 more topics that I can easily do. I have a few more puzzles that probably have their own videos, so expect many more videos, right? So if you want to stay involved, yeah, please press the subscribe button, create that YouTube account, press subscribe. That way you will get notified whenever there's a new video come out. As I mentioned, there's quite a few more coming. If you have feedback about this specific video, feel free to leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, please press the like button. That way more people will find it as well. So those are all good things. If you have any suggestions, maybe you would like me to talk about a certain type of puzzle, yeah, shoot me a note. Maybe you have a way that how I can improve the videos. Feedback is always welcome, so please do. Don't hesitate to contact me. More than happy to engage with you. So with that, the end of this video. Uh, Hopefully this will help you a little bit, and the next time you see a mystery cache, you can panic a little bit less.